A new window to the world.
Celebration is in the Euro-Atlantic. West.
That tells the story as it is.
国際社会の
Honest, trusted, connected to everything. Q News. We have no boundaries. We don't know limits. And we always have the answer of what, who, where, and why. Q News. Power your knowledge. A new window to the world.
Celebration is in the Euro-Atlantic. West.
That tells the story as it is.
国際社会の
Honest, trusted, connected to everything. Q News. In the European Union. Who's against? In the European Union. Who's against?
خط أحمر.
In the European Union. Who is against?
أنا خط أحمر.
In the European Union. Who is against?
أنا خط أحمر.
In the European Union. Who is against?
أنا خط أحمر.
In the European Union. Who is against?
Who's a guest? In the European Union. Who is against? In the European Union. Who is against? In the European Union. Who is against?
We have no boundaries. We don't know limits. And we always have the answer of what, who, where, and why. Q News. Power your knowledge.
It's exactly 6 p.m. Cairo local time, and it's time for Q News, and we start off with the headlines. Palestine, Hamas and the Jihad movement deliver a united response to Egypt and Qatar regarding the ceasefire proposal. Ukraine and its allies rally support at a conference in Berlin, calling for Ukrainian cities to be safeguarded from Russian missile attacks. And Finland makes its first NATO deployment since joining the alliance, sending 7 fighter jets to Romania. And in solidarity with the Palestinian situation, here are developments in Gaza. An official source has confirmed that it has received responses from the Palestinian factions regarding the ceasefire proposal. The source indicated that the Egyptian delegation is intensifying talks with all parties in order to discuss the ceasefire situation. This comes in light of responses from Egypt and Qatar regarding the latest proposal. Palestinian Hamas and the Jihad movement have delivered their united response to Egypt and Qatar. In a joint statement, Hamas and the Jihad movement clarified that the response prioritizes the interests of the Palestinian people and the necessity of completely stopping the ongoing aggression on the Gaza Strip. Palestinian factions also expressed its readiness to positively engage in reaching an agreement to end the war, which they attributed to a sense of national responsibility. The National Security Council spokesperson for the White House, John Kirby, has said that the Biden administration has received Hamas' response to Egypt and Qatar regarding a ceasefire agreement. Kirby also stated that the response is currently being evaluated. He further reaffirmed his administration's desire to receive Hamas's approval for the American ceasefire proposal.
We continue to have ongoing.
Palestinian media outlets have reported that 16 people died after scattered airstrikes on the Gaza Strip. 8 Palestinians were killed when Israeli occupation forces targeted a house in Daraj neighborhood of central Gaza City. The occupation forces also targeted a house in the east of the city, killing 6 others. Palestinian media have also reported the death of a child in an Israeli airstrike that targeted a house in the Nasr neighborhood of southern Gaza. Another citizen was killed and others were injured in an Israeli airstrike on a house in the Abu Qarqush area. In addition, occupation artillery shelled the Fakhari of southern Gaza, as well as an area north of Nusrayat refugee camp in central Gaza. UNICEF have warned that the escalating offensive against the Palestinian Rafah city is putting thousands of children at risk. Adeli Kokhodir, UNICEF's regional director for the Middle East and North Africa, said that horrific images from Gaza show children dying before their families due to a lack of food and destroyed health care services. Nearly 3,000 of 3,800 children being treated for malnutrition are now cut off from life-saving care. UNICEF has also warned of a rising risk of more children falling sick. As we see, dear viewers, increased risk of more children falling ill. The UNICEF and everyone all around the world globally is asking for help and humanitarian aid for the children and the women and the civilians in Palestine to survive. While there has been some improvement in food delivery in northern Gaza, aid delivery in the south has drastically declined.
100,000 malnourished children have lost access to essential care. UNICEF reports an increasing risk of more children falling ill as the conflict continues. Aid delivery remains challenging, with conditions worsening in the south. Only 2 out of 3 centers treating severely malnourished children are open, and plans for new centers are stalled. UNICEF's regional director stated that the UNICEF has supplies ready if access allows them to be passed. She added that they need safer conditions and fewer restrictions, but most importantly, a ceasefire that is crucial. Over 1 million people have been displaced from Rafah in the past month, with many uprooted multiple times. 95% of the population lacks clean drinking water, and most of Gaza's sanitation system is destroyed. Fewer than a dozen of its 40 hospitals remain operational. In response, the US has announced an additional $404 million in humanitarian aid, providing food, water, healthcare, and other support to Palestinian civilians. As the conflict rages, the call for a ceasefire grows louder, with countless lives, especially those of children, hanging in the balance.
We'll now be joined by Salim Abu Zaid, an expert on Middle Eastern affairs, to provide further insight on the matter. Welcome, Mr. Abu Zaid.
Thank you so much for having me on. It's a real pleasure.
How is UNICEF currently managing the delivery of aid to malnourished children in Gaza, and what are the main obstacles they face?
Yes, there are a few access points for UNICEF at the moment, but right now, delivery of aid is extremely restricted. UNICEF has never seen such challenges to delivering aid across the border to Gaza. Occasionally, they're allowed provisions through, but we're seeing constant holdups at the various crossings. So the situation is extremely precarious. Right now, there is just enough aid coming through that mass starvation is not occurring, but any amount of starvation is not acceptable for us.
Mr. Zaid, only 2 out of the 3 centers that treat severely malnourished children are still operating. What do they need to ensure that they can continue to operate effectively?
Yeah, so there's a big supply shortage even in the centers that are operational at the moment. There's a lack of means to preserve the food. There's a lack of storage facilities, a lack of places even for people to go and to sit. And so these places, if you look at them on the scene, they're completely crowded out, lines coming outside the buildings. And that's and in this harsh summer heat, I mean, that's really a very difficult situation for these Palestinians. So what do they need to make sure that they're still operational? They need, first of all, far more aid coming through. They need far more staff on the operational centers, because right now the ratio of staff to Palestinians is something like 80 to 1. It's completely unfeasible. And so it means that you have aid workers working basically non-stop to provide supplies, to provide aid to the Palestinians. So I think, first of all, we'd like to see much more staff going into these centers.
We hope so, sir. Thank you very much, Mr. Salim Abu Zaid. And we move on with the news bulletin, where at a conference in Jordan, leaders have expressed deep concern at the unprecedented loss of civil children's lives and humanitarian catastrophe caused by the war in Gaza. At the end of the conference, the President of Egypt and the King of Jordan and the United Nations Secretary General condemned in a joint conference the killing of civilians in Gaza as being in violation of international law. They also called and condemned attacks on UN personnel. In addition, they called for the establishment of an immediate, lasting and fully respected ceasefire, as well as an immediate and unconditional release of all hostages and all illegal detained civilians. They further called for Israel to terminate its ongoing aggression in the Palestinian city of Rafah, combined with the implementation of the interim measures proposed by the International Court of Justice. The Egyptian Minister of Foreign Affairs, Sameh Shoukry, has stressed that the conference in Jordan was convened as part of Egypt's and Jordan's responsibility towards Gaza. He added that security would not be achieved as long as the Palestinian people were deprived of their legitimate rights. He also reaffirmed the urgent need to reopen the Rafah crossing. US President Joe Biden pledges cooperation with France's elected leaders. Ukraine and its allies rallied for support at a conference in Berlin. They called for the safeguarding of Ukrainian cities from Russian missile attacks.
And you heard the president that he will want to have another conversation with President Xi, as you might expect that he would, but we don't have anything on the schedule right now, and we'll have to do that at the time when the president believes it's appropriate. No. There is an open line of communication, and I'm not denying that there aren't still tensions, particularly in the wake of the spy balloon. We don't believe it's the appropriate time right now for Secretary Blinken to travel to Beijing, and you heard the president that he will want to have another conversation with President Xi, as you might expect that he would, but we don't have anything on the schedule right now, and we'll have to do that at the time when
the Kremlin has considered Washington's arming of Ukraine's Azov unit as a clear indication of the U.S. intent to harm Russia. U.S. President Joe Biden announced yesterday that the U.S. would lift their decade-long ban on supplying weapons to Azov, one of Ukraine's most controversial military units. In response, Russia Press Secretary Peskov stated that the Kremlin took the announcement extremely negatively and condemned Washington's determination to damage his country.
No, you would probably say no.
Russia's Deputy Foreign Minister Sergei Rybakov has stated that Western actions are forcing Russia to consider adjusting his rules on nuclear deterrence. Rybakov's remarks coincide with the Russian Defense Ministry announcing the start of the second phase of internal nuclear exercises with Belarus. The goal of these exercises is to ensure the readiness of personnel and military equipment in both countries. Switzerland will host a summit this weekend to seek a path to peace in Ukraine. The conference has been shunned by China and described by Russia as a waste of time.
Ukraine and its allies gathered in Berlin, relying support to protect Ukrainian cities from relentless Russian missile attacks. The conference called on international businesses to invest billions in post-war reconstruction, aiming to rebuild and revitalize a nation under siege. Kyiv hopes this recovery conference will solidify its credentials as a future EU member, deserving substantial reconstruction funding, even as Russian forces advance in Ukraine's east. This weekend, Switzerland hosts a summit seeking a path to peace in Ukraine. However, China has shunned the event, and Russia, not invited, has dismissed it as a futile. Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky, speaking with German Chancellor Olaf Scholz, highlighted the extensive damage to Ukraine's energy infrastructure, enough to power cities like Berlin and Munich, with World Bank estimates suggesting Ukraine needs $500 billion over the next decade. Scholz emphasized the need for strong investment, citing Ukraine's potential in renewables, IT, and pharmaceuticals. German Defense Minister Boris Pistorius announced the delivery of 100 additional Patriot air defense missiles in collaboration with Denmark, the Netherlands, and Norway. A relentless Russian aerial bombardment has severely damaged Ukraine's generating capacity, leading to scheduled blackouts across the country. Both Zelensky and Scholz are set to attend the G7 summit in Italy this week, continuing their diplomatic efforts. The Berlin conference was overshadowed by the resignation of a top Ukrainian reconstruction official, citing systemic obstacles making his role untenable. As Ukraine seeks to rise from the ashes of conflict, the world watches, ready to support its journey towards peace and prosperity.
White House National Security Council spokesperson John Kirby has stated that Joe Biden will work with elected leaders in France regardless of their political orientations. This follows French President Emmanuel Macron's decision to dissolve the French National Assembly and call for snap elections after his party's loss in elections for the European Parliament. Finland has made its first NATO deployment since joining the alliance in April 2023. They sent 7 F-18 fighter jets to a military base in southeastern Romania and are expected to conduct air shielding missions and British and Romanian jets. A Finnish Air Force commander said the mission would help speed up Finland's integration into NATO. Finland's membership in the organization ended its 7 decades of military non-alignment. Its membership has massively increased the length of NATO's border with Russia and has bolstered its eastern flank amid Moscow's ongoing war in Ukraine. Moving on to the world of economics and business, dear viewers, the international